Welcome to the Town Square Podcast.
Welcome.
You know, where we are advocates for a better Newton County. We bring other advocates for a better Newton County into the messy middle.
Yes.
And is this your second time?
This is my second time, about a year ago.
Yep.
Second time with Commissioner of District 5, LeAnne Long.
Thank you for having me. It's been about a year that we visited each other last.
It has.
So excited to talk about what's happened in that year.
Not much has happened. Not much at all.
Not for me.
No,
I think you even suggested a title for this episode of the good, the bad, and the ugly from the last year in
2025.
office.
Yeah. It feels like it has been the good, the bad, the ugly.
Yeah. Well, what's been the good?
The good has been just, I think my biggest accomplishment that I think for 2025 is getting the citizens engaged in what's going on in our community. Yeah. I mean, we just getting, I talk about this all the time, that the county is so much different than a city. Any city that you have, people are inside the city limits. They're, working, living, playing, children in the city limits. You get out to the county, especially Newton County, how large it is, in District 5, so it's got a lot of rural areas in it. It's hard to engage your community, and you have to engage them because they're doing life.
Yep.
They're doing life outside of Newton County. They're doing all kinds of things. And for me to get the community involved, it takes a lot. But I think that's one of the things I feel so wonderful about, that we've accomplished that this year. People are in tune. They know what's going on. They're staying informed.
Yeah.
There's been a couple of big groups formed out of this.
Yes.
And I think it's been fantastic just to get the news out, the word out, and that to me is a big accomplishment. Yeah.
How have you been able to do that? I mean, because I know we talked a little bit offline about how that can be difficult, and you even alluded to that just now. So what kind of went into, what was the secret sauce to making that happen?
This episode brought to you in part by SCB Construction Group. Ever step into a new building and think, wow, everything just clicks? Well, that's not magic. It's expert planning, precision, and execution. And now, as an Engineering News record top 100 Southeast contractor, SCB Construction Group is proving their excellence on every scale. Locally owned and community driven, they bring stories to life, one structure at a time. Our church, East Ridge, even partnered with them on a 12,000 square foot building down on Highway 36. It's now called Life Now Church. So we love SCB Construction Group, and they are no stranger to accolades, having repeatedly won Best of Newton by the Covington News. SCB Construction Group is a trusted partner for commercial projects across Georgia and beyond. As a leading general contractor, they specialize in turnkey design build, design bid, and commercial contracting services. From massive manufacturing facilities and distribution centers to church buildings, sports complexes, office spaces, and retail shops, their range is expansive and no project is too big. For a build where every detail tells a story, visit scbcg.com. That's scbcg.com. Big thanks to SCB Construction Group for sponsoring this episode.
What kind of went into, what was the secret sauce to making that happen?
So, I am in the people business, and so that helps. But I think what I learned in the campaign cycle, that, people didn't know who the officials were. There's no trust in political people, and just getting them to know who I am. And the biggest thing I hear all the time from people is, oh my God, you're a politician that does exactly what she said she was going to do. I'm like, what? Aren't I supposed to do that?
That's
it never
unheard of.
happens.
Yeah.
It never happens.
Right. Yeah.
So I think just reaching out to homeowners associations, groups, I've sold millions of houses in this county.
Right.
And reaching out to the people I know through my database, through Save East Newton's been a great thing for our county. And now Social Circle has a coalition, Facebook, where they're all meeting and talking. Yeah. And I feel like that I'm not going to take credit for it, but I feel like we had a lot to do with that.
Sure.
They're in tune to what's going on in their city now, and they were not 6 months ago.
Right.
And I think just putting information out there, my style does not work for everybody.
Wait, let's explain that a little bit.
I feel like we all could probably say that.
What is it about your style? Do you mean?
My style is I am a go-getter. I've always been a go-getter. I've always been, when I was in corporate America, I wanted to win all the awards and sweep the room. Yeah. And anything that I do with passion.
Right.
And I'm a very hyper person. Even as old as I am, I'm still hyper. Maybe a little slower than I used to be. But I feel passionate about something, and when I feel passion, it's something that I cannot let go of. I stay up at night worrying about it. Some of these things that we've gone through, and I'm sure we'll get into some of those in a little bit, but just the passion of doing what's right. And in my campaign, I said, I'm not only doing what's right for the citizens in Newton County, I'm a citizen. I'm doing what's right for me. And I've said that all along to everybody, that it's not just about people always say, I'm doing this for the citizens. I'm doing it for me. I'm doing it for my grandchildren. I'm doing it for, our community that I live in. So I think that that's the passion, and my style is very blunt and to the point.
No.
I'm not a big sugarcoater.
Sure.
Yeah.
And because I feel like that a lot of people hide behind words and they don't say what they mean.
Yeah.
And then somebody can interpret it a different way. Or they are what we call two-faced in high school. Okay. And so I want to make sure that I'm clear of what I'm saying. I use a lot of adjectives sometimes, but I think that it's important to get people's attention.
Right.
It's kind of like a marketing thing to me, I guess,
Sure.
and bringing them into the conversation sometimes is hard. And like I said, so you've got all different types of people and everything. So getting them engaged in the community, get them to know what's going on, put out as much information. I hate the word transparency because we're overusing that word these days, but get as much information and that I can out there. Sometimes the posts are really long, and I hate that they're that long. But if you don't explain it, then everybody starts taking off on their Facebook in a different tear.
This is true.
And I've pretty much been blunt about that too. Look, this is about District 5. This is about the people of District 5. Don't come on here with your other narratives and try to put them in here, because that's not what this is for.
Right.
If you want to do that, do it on your own page. Don't do it on mine.
Right.
And that's where the bluntness comes in. But I think that there are a lot of people that do appreciate that. There are. I think really it's different.
Sure.
It's very different. I don't think there's been many public officials like myself that are not afraid to tell it, not afraid to give all the information, and get it out there, and be, just be honest about it. And I think that a lot of Newton County has been, there's things going on, people don't know. I know when I was not in office, I did this a long time ago, a lot different, but I would ask questions and people would not get back to me, or they wouldn't know the answers. And the day one of me hitting office, I got hit with all the stuff. And I'm like, where is this all stuff coming from? I've never heard about some of this stuff. So I just don't want people to be surprised. I want them to know.
Well, you are a prolific Facebooker, if that's a thing.
That is a thing.
Prolific Facebooker. And that's where I've probably noticed the most change in county communication, right? And I know you guys have a communication department and the official things go out that way, but it looks like you created a space to have conversations like back and forth, right? It's not like you just made a post and then you go away from it.
No, I
make
engage.
a post and then you're back. You like a lot of them.
I do.
I don't know. Like, let's see your thumbs. Like, you got some thumb muscles?
I'm
Because
telling you.
Actually,
I'm
I don't feel
telling
like I'm on it that much. I mean,
Really?
I don't. I try. Sometimes I'm more than others because of what's going on. But I do want people to know that I'm reading them, I'm engaging with them.
Yeah.
If it's something crazy, I write back, okay, this is not what we're trying to do here. Please don't take the narrative in a different direction. And don't say ugly things about people, because that's not what this is for.
Right.
This is for you to find out what's going on around your house or your community or your property rights. These are things that it's been mostly, unfortunately, about zoning, but it's also been about taxes. I can't tell you how many people I've emailed personally and done a whole dissertation on how your taxes are figured and what your value has increased over the last 4 years. That's the biggest thing. So I think engaging with people, and they're shocked that I answer them back.
You can see that in the post.
Yes. Yeah.
People will say that.
Even when I was doing a lot of stuff as a sports editor, people would be shocked. They would get on and they would say, "Oh, you're an idiot. Oh, this and that," and then I'd come back and be like, "Da da da da," and they'd be like, and then they walk it back because that's not what I meant. I really was just trying to say, okay,
Right.
I wanted to leave a bomb and leave.
Exactly. But like to your point, I do. I think people do get surprised when folks are willing to banter back. And I say banter, I'm not talking about necessarily like trading barbs and insults, but willing to talk through some of the things that they come in conditioned thinking you're not going to talk about it.
Yeah, they do.
Trading ideas.
Yeah.
So one guy on there that comes on there all the time doesn't live in the county. That's the first thing I do when you start, acting up on Facebook. I look and see where you live.
Yeah.
I got all those tools.
Yeah.
And I look to see where you live, and I'll flat out say, hey, you don't even live here, but I'll be glad to look up your property value in your county. Or I'll say things like, hey, like, you can't do it. You can't do it. In fact, one of those people came on and said, oh, my God, she did it. And I said, I told you we would do it.
Yeah.
And, because they're just surprised. I think that's the biggest thing. And really that blows me away that people are so surprised that somebody would be doing what they said they were going to do. But I get it.
Well, also it's like it's a new time. It's a new era.
It is.
It really
and this
is.
Giving comments back and forth on Facebook or Twitter or whatever. It's really kind of the conversation of the day. It's how why are we doing a podcast?
Right.
Yep.
Because we know more people will engage online listening to these ideas that we're sharing than if we were literally sitting on the town square trying to get people's attention.
Yep.
Oh,
That's,
absolutely.
It's not going to, this is just a different day. So I appreciate the fact that you do engage that way. But can we
Flip the coin.
Can we at least get into it? Doesn't it though sometimes ruffle some feathers and get some conversations going that maybe you didn't intend to?
Sometimes
Then
when
what?
you ruffle feathers, you do get conversations going that you might not get. I've been trying to be very careful. In the very beginning, I was worse, and it's funny, I'd get a phone call the next day by, other people in the county, and I say, what did I do? What did I say?
If you saw Stan call and you were like, well,
You preempted with
Not
that.
Stan. Stan, I think Stan loves it because he doesn't get anything because I'm
takes
taking
it
the heat
off
off of him.
Stan says, my phone is a whole lot quieter since you showed up.
I bet it is.
We had a meeting one time, and somebody said something about me, and Stan goes, well, she has a little bit different approach than I do. And I thought, you think? But it's sometimes, it's not personal. There's people that take it personal.
Right.
We just had a couple instances of that where people took it personal. It's not personal. It's about what we're all charged to do in a job. Mm-hmm. And it's sad to me that people do take it personal. I mean, I've been attacked. The first time I got attacked, I was like, oh, my God, they attacked me. And it was not even this same group. It was a different group in the county. And it was really not warranted. It was something I had said in a meeting that, I'm going to work my butt off for 4 years, and then I'm probably going to be at the beach somewhere. That I'm not trying to be a career politician is what I was trying to say.
Right.
And they took that as, what is her intention? Why is she doing this? And then she's going to be at the beach.
Oh,
I'm like, oh, my God.
Make millions of dollars secretly in government.
Yeah. No, I hope I'm laying on the beach with
county government,
some suntan lotion on me.
There you go.
But, I didn't get into this to be a career politician. You never say never, I know, in this business, because I've done this before. And after I got out of politics, I said, I'll never do that again.
Yeah.
Here we are.
Yeah.
But I think that my goal is not to be a career politician. I don't even want to be a politician. When people call me Commissioner Long, I'm like, it's LeAnne. You can call me LeAnne. I don't care about the title. But I think the biggest thing is when you ruffle feathers, you do get the conversation going.
Right.
I can't help that people take it personal. There's nothing I can do about that. That's on them. They have to fix that within themselves, not me. But I think that you have to look and say, if you're not telling your story, then somebody else is going to tell your story.
This is true.
So you tell your story, and then I won't have to tell your story.
Yes.
Is the way I look at it. Yeah. And it's not mean. It's not intentional. It's to make people understand. And in fact, I had a conversation with my buddy Travis, and he's had
Travis Moore, City Council.
City Council. I love Travis. He's we know each other from a long time ago, and we were having the same conversation. I said, I think you see it as rhetoric. I see it as community involvement, but I also see that it was a shocker to a lot of people that it was taken defensively. And I think that stirred up, I said, I'm going to go back and read everything I wrote. And I did. Because you learn from everything. You don't just think you're right and somebody else is wrong. You learn. So I went back and read it. I have my little mini me that sits in my office, and she tells Mom,
your daughter,
calm down, Mom, take a chill.
She is also a prolific Facebooker.
Yes.
She takes up for her mama, and I tell her sometimes, don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. And but she's very smart. As much as she can't stand politics, I would love to see her get into this arena. But she tells me she doesn't like it, but then she's right in the middle of it.
She is always on. I'm telling you, she's chiming in.
She's very smart, and she does tell me sometimes take a deep breath.
Right.
And
step back for a minute.
Step back for a minute, take a deep breath. And trust me, you haven't seen all the things I would like to say and it didn't say.
There's a lot of deletes and a lot of edits, is what you're saying?
Yes. So, Travis and I had a great conversation, and we talked about that. And I said, I explained to him how I felt about the city. The city is in a circle and a kind of their own little world. And I always tell people this: you're either a city person or you're a county person. You're not both.
Right.
You're just not both.
Right.
And I always say that the county is so large, and to get the message out is harder. People in the city probably know when you walk down the street or you walk your dog or what time you're going out in the morning. They probably set their watch and know it. But the county, they don't know that. They don't know. I'm just shocked sometimes when people go, I knew nothing about that. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
How could you not?
Our newspaper doesn't get the information out as quickly as I would like them to.
Yeah.
Right.
And do the stories on things that really, to me, matter that's going on in the county.
Right.
We got a lot of stuff in there that, is important, but I guess it sells papers.
Yeah.
So kudos to them if that's what they're trying to do,
Poor Evan Newton right now. He's like, what is going on?
I mean, I love Evan. He's a great guy.
Yeah.
And you know what? He's making a name for himself. And I guess in your job resume, if you up the paper's subscription rate, then you're doing great. And he definitely does a good job at that.
Yeah.
And everybody has something that they're good at. And that's okay.
You probably need 10 Evan Newtons is really to cover everything.
The poor guy's tried to do it all. That's what's sad. But he does a great job. I wish we would talk more about issues that affect everybody.
Right.
Yeah.
Not just drama.
Yeah.
Right.
So you were hinting though at this conversation you had with Travis, again, prolific Facebooker. So we've had him on, and we've like you, we commend him on sending out these massive updates almost after every meeting. Like their city council meetings, we know exactly what they talk about,
right,
how they voted, and usually with some sort of commentary on him, like here's or his perspective.
And maybe people don't like it. He says, "This is why I voted for it." It's okay. Everybody's not going to like what you do.
Yeah,
and
but I'm assuming though. Yeah, I guess what I'm getting at is I could understand if you are giving your perspectives on how you see things from the county perspective. He's given his long dissertations on how things come from the city. It's at some point there's just going to be some, well, I don't see it that way and I don't see it that way. Is that kind of what happened in whatever this scenario is? Because I'm not sure exactly
what happened in this scenario for me, and we're talking about those annexations. I've been, just history to go back. Since day one, I got elected on a Tuesday, and on Wednesday, somebody wanted to meet with me about a data center that was already in the works that I had no idea about.
Wow.
Welcome to the show.
Of course, I went to the meeting as a citizen because I was not.
Sure.
And I was just blown away that so much had been done and nobody in the community knew anything about it.
Yeah.
And I had been asking questions, but there was nothing coming out about it. So that kind of was like an eye-opener from day one. Mm-hmm. And then, so I got hit with 12 or 15 annexations, in the first 6 months of office. So when these last two came along, and they were just too quiet. Yeah. It was very quiet. And,
these last two being Falconwood on 278.
Yeah, on 278.
And the Elks Club Road. Proposed data center, I think, right?
Yeah, it was a data center.
Yeah.
And so it was very quiet. And there was no signage put out because they didn't have to. The city was doing everything right. I made that clear in several posts. They were doing everything right. Uh-huh. The only thing I felt like was a problem was we weren't discussing it in public. Mm-hmm. Okay. They were told that they could not discuss it in public. We've always been told that if it's public record, you can discuss that. In fact, a couple of people had called the county manager about my post, and he went and read them. It's like, are you calling my daddy about me? But anyway, I was like,
he's your employee.
They read them. They read them,
yeah.
And they were like, there's nothing wrong with what she's saying.
Okay.
Nothing wrong with it. Huh. And then, they would call the chair and say, oh, she's writing this.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Right.
And even legal looked at it, nothing wrong with what she's saying.
So let me provide context, and just because I want to make sure I understand it too. Mm-hmm. The way annexations work, if someone lives in the county but has property that's adjacent, it has to be adjacent to the city limits line, right? Like another property that's in the city limits.
Well, they're not always adjacent. They still ask, even though they're not, but it's supposed to be adjacent.
Supposed to
okay.
be,
All right.
Okay.
And so that comes before you guys first, the county first?
So no, the city normally gets it.
So the city gets it first.
And it's just a request from the petitioner to the city. The city didn't ask or anything like that.
That's
that got out there too, and that's not true.
Okay, so the person who owns the land can apply for annexation into the city, and so that goes before the city council, but they have to do their due diligence, right? Like they can't really comment on, even if it's a data center or if it's, whatever, they're building the Taj Mahal, like they can't comment on it until they get into open session. Is that right?
I don't know what their policy is.
Okay. That was my understanding.
They may have a different policy, but the way it works is that the city will get the letter. The city immediately sends a courtesy email to the county, and then a letter shows up usually the next day.
Gotcha. So they're saying, hey, we've gotten this request.
We got this request. Gotcha. It has all this stuff in it. And now we are going to send it to you and notify you that this is going on.
Yeah.
And then the county in so many days, and there's a pamphlet that outlines anything, has to either say, okay, we're good with this, or we're not good with this.
Right.
Unfortunately, those are not, when we sit the paperwork, it's not a public meeting. It's not like a public forum.
Okay.
We have it in public at the meeting, and we can say yes or no.
Right.
But it's not where people can come up and give opinions at that point, because it's just a request.
Gotcha.
Okay. Then it goes back to the city, and then the city can make a decision anytime they want to, whether they want it or not.
Okay.
That was the big argument. And they were like, no, we can't talk about it. We're not allowed to do anything. We got to do this. We got to do that. And that's fine if that's their rules, but that's not the county rule.
Okay.
And that's not what's written in the DCA rules.
Okay. So the city
So
would
it's
wait.
public record at that point. So it is public record.
Okay. But they're not, they just don't talk about it until they voted on it. Is that, or until it goes into their... They've got to have a council
particular
meeting.
ones they didn't talk about before they were voted on, but there has been some in the past that may have been discussed out in public, and I think that was my biggest frustration with this.
This hasn't been a consistent.
I mean, these
approach.
came in September.
Yeah.
I didn't start going crazy into December.
Well, you didn't go crazy, dude.
Yeah. Well, my words get me in trouble. But I just felt like, okay, it's been 3 months.
And there's no word of it.
Yeah. And I was like, nobody's saying anything.
Yeah. And your job is to represent the people in District 5. And so you're saying if they're not aware, then how
can they express concerns if they're not aware?
Right. And how can they tell you what
That's right. And a lot of those posts I said, let me know what you think. Because I might think one way, but if the entire district tells me we don't care, then hey.
You got to
pivot that way.
I got to pivot.
So what got you in trouble then? Not trouble, but what got you what was the beef? I guess I'm missing it.
I think the beef is when I was when I was saying that I felt like it, and this, like I said, I respect the city. They're our partners.
Yeah. I'm not trying to get you in trouble.
Yeah, no. All this has been said.
Sure.
I mean, I got called lots of names by other people, but basically what I was trying to do is to make the people of District 5 aware. I even put that in the post. This is for the people of District 5. Okay. I had tried to have some engagement with the city about the matter through the county's attorneys, through the planning and zoning, those type things. Nothing. It was crickets. Okay. So from a commissioner standpoint, business as usual. What has happened in the past? All of a sudden, you wake up one day, you're like, how did that get to be that? And nobody knows anything. That was my biggest fear, that people wouldn't know what's going on.
Right.
I was really afraid that it was staying quiet so we could go through the process, which it was correctly. The city did everything correct, went through the process. But when it gets to DCA, it could have a ruling that would affect the county. And at that point, it's too late. I think if you go back and watch the city council meeting where Judy first brought up the moratorium, she said that often these things go where they're too late for people to even make comments.
Okay. Yeah.
And that was my biggest fear. I didn't want it to go so long that nobody in that Elks Club, that's some of our highest expensive housing in this area.
Right.
I don't want those people to be unrepresented and not know what's going on.
Right.
And so when I started putting it out, it was like, okay, a little traction. And I was like, okay, this is a big deal, folks.
Sure.
This is a big deal. We need to pay attention. There's no signs on the property. And, they're like, well, normally there's a rezoning sign. I understand, but that we weren't at that point.
Okay.
However, what I kept trying to say to the city and to the citizens, more to the citizens, I wasn't trying to tell the county, the city what to do and run the city.
Right,
Good Lord.
I was going to say.
That came out last night. Don't tell us what to do. We're not going to run the city. I mean, that was not the intent.
At some point, it seems like it evolved into maybe you're picking a side, or you're saying I don't want this, or I don't but that you're saying that's not where.
No, it was to tell everybody was out there, and I'm like, let me know. I always say that then. Let me know. I'm updating you. Let me know. There were people on there that didn't care. They're not necessarily from that area,
right.
But there was people that, and there's just a lot of people that don't understand. So I got a lot of more calls of people that wanted to understand the process, because it that tells you how quiet these processes are if people are just now learning what the process is. A lot of people learned about the process this time.
Yeah, which that's a good thing.
Yeah, it is a good thing. They understand because it is a process. I mean, I have the rules printed on my desk. I look them up and I read them. But at any time, if the participating city or the city that got the notification, whether it be any city, they can let the petitioner, the county, and everybody know that they're not interested in that process either.
Okay.
They can do that outside of like a
Well, they did it last night.
Well, but there was an official meeting.
Okay, but they could go. They could talk about it in public. They didn't have to go out there and say we don't want to do it. They could go out and say, "Hey, I'm over here seeing what people think about this. You know, there's been a somebody that applied for annexation.
Yeah.
You know, you should. You know, the biggest thing that we learned from Commissioner Mason and I just took a bunch of classes on data centers because there's so much going on and evolving in that. It has come on fast.
Well, I want to hear more about that in a minute, but
yeah. So getting back to this, it's just the biggest thing that we have been taught from ACCG, and I don't know if the cities have a different handbook than the counties do from their association, the GMA and the ACCG, but it tells us to be transparent, to talk to our constituents, talk to the water department, talk to everybody involved before you make any decisions on any of these. So that's how we handle every zoning too.
Okay.
And I don't know how they handle zoning because I've never really paid attention to how they handle every zoning. A lot of people don't realize that District 5 overlaps into the city limits. A lot of my district is in the city limits.
Okay.
So those are my people too.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think that if I had been a District 2 commissioner and jumping up and down, it might have seemed a little weird.
Yeah.
But the people that live inside the city limits are part of District 5.
Right.
So that's why
so there's
they
a
are
natural overlap.
Yeah, there's a natural overlap there.
I think most of the city is District 5.
There's a little bit of 4, but most of the city is District 5.
Yeah.
And so I felt like that, like I said, my biggest fear is nobody knows anything about this. It goes before DCA. They send back a ruling and say, well, we think it should go there. I don't think DCA is a great thing anyway.
But what is the acronym just for people?
Department of Community Affairs.
Okay.
And they look at projects, and they're supposed to help give give an analysis of something big's coming to an area or something like that.
Right.
And what I've seen in the past, I haven't agreed with some of the reports that have come out.
Okay.
And that's okay. Mm-hmm. You can agree to disagree, but the process is kind of lengthy for this little hearing, this where you call it arbitration type thing, and then they can issue an official ruling.
The DCA can.
The arbitration board.
Okay.
And that arbitration board, there's a lot that goes into that. The county can strike people, the city can strike people, stuff like that.
Goodness.
So to nip that in the bud, if you don't want it, then we just don't waste all that time and money with attorneys if they don't want it.
Right.
Okay.
And that was my point. Do you want this?
Right.
Okay.
And I was hearing from maybe one or two council members they didn't say yes or no, but they were giving me inclinations that it wasn't a residential area, that I had brought out a lot of good points about it. But I did not feel like I had the whole support of that city council.
And they were waiting. It looks like anyway, till last night. They were waiting to get to a council meeting to have that conversation and then to collectively say no. But I see what you're saying. They could have shut it down earlier if they'd gotten together and talked about it. They didn't want it.
They could have. We could have gotten together with them.
Yeah. Okay.
And myself could have gone and talked to the mayor or talked to someone about it. Yeah. I think they said, "Well, you didn't come talk to us," and I'm like, "Wait a minute." It's but it's okay. I've been friends with the mayor for a long time. She's a great person. Love her to death. I don't know if she loves me anymore, but I love her.
Oh, I'm sure she has love for you.
I know. Yeah. And like I said, it's not personal. We're going to have a lot of things that we agree to disagree on.
Right. Yeah.
I have those with Sarah Hall, IDA. I have those with Debbie at the chamber. I've known Debbie forever. But we're all going to have, you and I have had good chats before, We're all going to have.
Yeah, you drive me crazy. You drive me crazy about the senior tax thing. You're sending everybody to me like, senior tax, go talk to them.
I'm going to tag Trey and everything. So, I feel like you're a great person to talk to people. And I think that all of us working together, we can explain to them why we don't have that. And that's a whole nother podcast. But,
that's right.
But, I think that the data centers have a place.
Okay.
And we're going to have 3 at this point. Mm-hmm. I go back to Meta, where when Meta first came to Covington, if you guys remember, they called it Facebook.
Yes.
There was no data center word in that.
Right.
I envisioned this office building with all the people on there taking down posts that have bad words in them or bad pictures is what I thought it was.
A bunch of people scrolling Facebook?
Yeah, scrolling Facebook, And that's not what it was. And it's grown to 5+ buildings now out there. It's grown kind of under our nose, and it's been a great partner. I'm not complaining about them.
Right.
And but I think that between Amazon, and it's here, it's fine. I mean, it's there. There's nothing we can do. I tell people that this ship has sailed.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
and then
it's like nobody's going to go out there and tear it down.
No,
now,
and there's going to be some good things that come out of that.
Sure.
Growing, change and growth is hard, but there could be some good things that come out of that. But do we need 8 of them here? Do we need 12 of them here? We're up to 12 proposals for Newton County.
Wow.
Currently?
Wow.
Yeah, well, we just shot
right. 2 of them.
One's gone.
Right.
And then there's some other things going on with the Highway 11 corridor.
Okay. But don't get in trouble.
We won't discuss those.
Okay. I don't know what you're supposed to.
Yeah, those are in litigation, and that's fine. I mean, we've talked about them as they come in.
Right.
But 12?
Yeah, between Social Circle, parts of unincorporated Newton County that overlap Social Circle and where Social Circle's boundaries are. And then,
also District 5.
Yeah, District 5. I got them all, trust me. And then we also, now we have one in the city. And I think that was probably the one that got everybody the maddest when, in fact, I had my daughter, I said, pull up how many data centers we have. Do that data for me. And she's pulling them up, and she said, "Did you know about this one?" And I said, "Which one?"
So this is not Amazon?
No, this is a different one. Servo Farms or something like that.
Okay.
Pro Farms. I don't know what it's called. Server or something.
Where is this one?
That's Hazelbrand Road. And it's right where Home Depot is. It's Hazelbrand Road.
Yep.
And there's somebody that built a logistic building there, which is kind of the new trend. You see them go up and down I-20. And they built a logistics building there. And I don't know that they had a tenant or anything come into it.
Yeah, it's Serve Farm. Yep.
Yeah, Serve Farm. That's it. And so when she brought up Serve Farm, I was like, what the world is Serve Farm?
Yeah.
So I look it up, and that one had been decided on in January of 2025. I felt like that it slipped through the cracks with everybody. It was the same time we were fighting out on Highway 11 with Social Circle, and I never even heard that one. That was new for me. It's in an industrial area.
Right.
Okay? Not mad.
Right.
Not mad about that. Yeah. It's in an industrial area. Those are where these type things need to be. And if it benefits the county and the city, then it's in the right place.
Absolutely.
It did worry me that it was a logistics building turned into a data center, because that's something new that we're starting to see.
Okay. This one in the city?
Yeah, it's in the city.
Okay.
Now they had the property in the city. They annexed it a few years ago or whatever. So it wasn't anything that. Nothing
underhanded, of course not.
No.
But I think where I'm getting at is I have seen, and I know you probably have too. Maybe even talked about it with Travis today. They have a moratorium now to stop data centers for 180 days or something like that, while they try to get their zoning fixed, because there's some little catch they had where it was similar to what you're saying. If you annexed in a certain type property, like an industrial park, it was automatically available to do
because of the zoning.
Yeah.
That's a great segment that you're bringing up, because these data centers have come on so fast, and they pop right in there and they talk about all this money and all this that we're going to do for the county. And we don't have experience on these things. So there's so many counties now. I think there's like 14 now that have moratoriums on data centers. We all need to take a pause and get our ordinances right. The county does not even have data center in their ordinances at all.
And we're redoing them, right?
Yes, we are.
They still don't have it in there. That's how new and fresh it is.
So we were putting it in because it came on so fast in January. But, think about it. Before 2025, you didn't hear the word data center. It's been like the buzzword. I always tell people it's like the truck stop where everybody had a field and they said, we're going to make this truck parking. You remember that?
Yes.
And then we had 1 million truck parking spaces, and now some of them are empty, some of them are gone. Different things like movie studios. They come in and then they're gone. So I feel like it's the buzzword of 2025. And
I don't want to overstate anything, but it does feel like the state, however you want to put it that way, they seem to support it quite a bit.
They do. They have incentives. Now, there is some legislation being introduced right now, that they're going to try to derail some of that, because there's 14 counties now that have data centers either being built or proposals for them, and there's like 35 more that are being built right now. And these are all... So I think that there are some people, if you notice, that you see data center everywhere now.
Yes.
I mean, you see it on the paper, you see it on your Facebook feeds, you see all these different groups in every state that's fighting this situation, because it is so fast, it is so new. I think that the city's doing a great thing. We're doing that same thing. We're looking at all that. We have data centers in the Stanton Springs ordinances, but we don't have them in the county anywhere.
Yeah.
So
because
we're going
I
to
think
do
we
the
were
same
saying
thing.
that would be a good place for them.
Yes.
If we had them.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I call it balance. How many do we need?
So you're not anti.
You're not anti. Yeah.
I'm not anti. Everybody thinks when I try to do something, I'm anti-growth. I'm anti-this.
Yeah.
I'm not. No, I
You're
think
more
it's called
pro-communication. I'm assuming
It's
from what I'm
balance.
hearing,
It's called balance.
and the responsibility of making sure it's not overdone.
Yeah, Loudoun County, Virginia is called Data Center Alley, and they have them everywhere. Do we want that?
That's what I heard.
Yeah, and my thing is we don't know environmentally what these things are going to do to our community. Do we want all our water gone? They're all coming up with all these newfangled ways to get around the water issue. None of that. I have some points from a class that we just took. They don't know how to use all these things they're introducing.
Really?
Like
That's
the reclaimed water, this and that. All that has not been perfected, but when they come to a zoning, they're giving you all this fluff, but really nobody knows what to do with it.
Almost like a sales pitch.
It's a sales pitch. I'm telling you, it is. It is. I'm telling you. I'm gonna leave this paper with you when I leave. So
no, I want you to tell us about it.
But
because I want to hear what you've learned because there's so much misinformation out there.
And I think I was getting ready to say, because similar discussions in the Augusta area where, they're getting ready to put one in Grovetown. And I'm hearing, it's so crazy, I'm hearing the same kinds of arguments, the same kind of vitriol, frustration, and then I read what's happening here and the same kind of argument. And I think a lot of it is being generated, the angst and trepidation is being generated by the fact that a lot of this is unknown or not tried and true. Come on, you just took the words right out of great minds think alike, baby. That's what I'm talking about.
We don't have any history for these things. We don't know if it's going to be environmentally or if there's a problem there. We don't know if there's runoff. There's all kinds of things. They want us to have stricter controls, have amendments, minimum acreage that these things are on and have buffers away from houses.
Who is this?
This is ACCG. This is a class that we all took about the January 6th.
And ACCG stands for the Association of
County Commissioners.
County Commissioners. So of Georgia. God, people need to hear that. That's some.
Yes.
It's a great place to go if you want to look some stuff up.
It's some sort of foundational truth, right? Like this group is kind of helping all of the counties in the state of Georgia understand this. So, all right. So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I wanted to get the
it's
source.
just saying that that you require Tier 4 generators. That's something new we're hearing.
Tier 4. I don't.
Yeah. See, there's a checklist of all these things that we're supposed to make sure that they have, and I'm sure that'll keep going and changing as it goes. We're supposed to make sure that there's 1,000-foot buffers from any residential property because of noise and lights and different things that go on. The biggest thing we're seeing also now, and this is in northern Newton County, is power lines. All this construction from power lines that are going in to feed Amazon. And there's a lot of people calling me because they're having to negotiate the rights of their land for these big, huge power lines. And maybe they owned 40 acres, and at some point they want to make it a subdivision. Well, the power line's going to go right through the middle of it. So now that land is no longer usable. It's going to be as valuable as it once was.
So there's so many different, from what I feel like I'm hearing you say, there's a lot of different tentacles that come off of this situation that impact areas of our community, of our livelihood that maybe folks are not fully privy to. And you're just saying, hey, let's just make sure people understand what we're getting into with this kind of stuff.
Let's take a pause, look at all of these things, learn more. Let's don't make those mistakes. One of the biggest contributors to this class that we took was Spalding County. And Spalding County's been hit with a lot, and they put in a lot of restrictions on theirs. But they've gotten some, and they're okay with them, but they're making sure that everything that they're doing is something for the future. One of the biggest things they said is make sure you have an exit plan in your contract.
Yeah.
So 5 years from now, we're seeing Georgia Tech has something out now saying data centers will be in a filing cabinet in 5 to 8 years. Okay. So what happens to these humongous? I mean, I think people don't understand that. The reason I recently put out a picture of what the site looked like over at Elks Club Road. What the layout was. And then we went and we dotted everything so everybody could figure out, made it kind of simple, stupid to know where everything was. And I don't think people understood the magnitude of what a project like that looks like. You hear data centers, kind of like I thought with Facebook, it's going to be an office, 3 people in there.
You've been out to Facebook, Meta, right? So it was an eye-opening experience when I went to go walk through just one of the 5, and I think there's 8 total coming or whatever. But I walked through just the one. It is like the people just to walk to get around in there, they use those segways because it's so you can't walk from one end to the other.
Yeah,
in a day,
funny story. I showed up there one day in December last year and just pulled up and got out. Guard gate, started walking around taking pictures. The guy comes out. Excuse me, ma'am, who are you? Who are you? What you doing?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, well, this is what I'm doing, and I want to hear it. So he took me to inside the fence, let me listen, and I mean, he was really sweet and everything. I don't know what he thought I was doing there, but I just went and wanted to see for myself because you can't talk about something if you don't go look at it and understand it.
And that perspective is something different. Like when you see it, it's like, okay, this is a big investment of space and
energy.
And what do you do with that building?
Yeah.
Like,
so from my Facebook, I was contacted by Fox News, the real Fox News, not Atlanta Fox News, Fox News, which was amazing to me that reach had gotten to that situation.
Your spoon for stirring the pot is just a big spoon.
I did not realize that. I think you don't realize when people, just like on Facebook, when people come up to you, oh, congratulations about your child. And you're like, how do they know about my child?
Right.
You don't know who, because everybody doesn't comment, but people see it.
They watch.
And they're watching it. And if it, the ones that aren't controversial, nobody likes them. They're just like one like, but the other ones do draw. And sometimes you do have to draw people into it.
Listen, I always tell people, like, if they watch you might as well give them a good show. Like, I mean, if they gonna say something anyway, one way or the other. Might as well give them something. What's that song? Let's give them something to talk about.
That's right.
I mean,
bring the attention in.
Yeah, absolutely.
We know that people like drama, but I'm not trying to cause drama. I'm just trying to tell people what's going on, and I do get very excited about things. And I mean, I'll tell you the truth. I've gone home and cried before.
I don't think
people believe I cry, but I was so frustrated that our community was going to be ruined and I was going to have to move. And I was so upset with my husband and he was like, calm down. I was like, we can't fix it. I can't fix everything, and I just felt like it was a lost cause. But then my other self that comes back in says, you can do it. And so the next morning I pop up and I'm ready to go. But it was at one time, it was so overwhelming that I was like, I don't know if we can fix this.
Yeah, is it worth it?
But can I do it alone? And I'm not doing it alone. There's a lot of other people doing it, but
sometimes
it feels like it's all on your shoulders sometimes. And that's kind of been my biggest situation is I don't want anybody to be surprised.
Yeah.
If there's something in your neighborhood, you're going to hear it from me first.
Right.
Yeah.
I think one of these annexation requests, it was like we got the letter in September and the city got it like on Tuesday. No fault of the city. The county didn't get it out because we got, some things moving in the county. And it got out to us on a Friday afternoon at 4:30. And I was at the ballpark with my grandchildren. And I put it out on Facebook right then.
Yeah.
And I get a couple calls and they're like, why in the heck did you put this out on a Friday night? And I'm like,
you're going to be following it all weekend.
What difference does that make? But, it did make a difference to some people. But for me, I didn't even think about it being Friday. I knew that I got the information.
You just wanted to
and I was getting it out before somebody else got it out.
Yeah.
Or before, it was you tell your story or somebody else will tell your story.
Yeah.
That's my motto.
And they'll tell it in a way that is not germane to how you would tell it, to the facts of the truth. I always talk about that in, media, people talk about, being first, whatever. I'm like, yeah, you want to be first, but you also want to be accurate.
Right.
Because if you're first and accurate, then you get to set the narrative of how other people have to come behind and cover a thing, and so
but don't be first and false.
No, you be first and false, then you make yourself
people think if you say
stupid.
A lot of things, I get my facts to make sure I'm right when I do my facts. But, I think when it takes people off guard, they're not happy that they didn't get it out first or they didn't get it out a different way. So it kind of gets misconstrued sometimes. And I think we have to take a step back and say it's not personal.
Right.
The city didn't ask for these things. I guess maybe I was very strong because of what had gone on in the first 6 months of the year with our situation with another city that did not go anything like this one with the city. The city of Covington did everything right.
Yeah.
There was a lot of things different with the other one. But
well, let me say that just for the people who are listening, and I'm not sure when this airs, but both of those properties that we mentioned, the 278 Falconwood property and then the data center that was slated for Elks Club Road, both of those annexations did not pass at the city of Covington just last night. So whenever I'm dating, whatever, that was the 20th of January, I believe. And we were just sat down with Councilwoman Shakira Davis, and she was telling us that we shut those annexations down, so that's not those.
Sharika.
Did I do it wrong again?
She's gonna come for you because
I told her it was so hard for me to get it right.
Nah, I get it.
Councilwoman Davis was letting us know that they didn't want that. They stopped it, and then those properties now cannot come back for a year.
Correct.
To come up for annexation. So that was news
I'm
to
waiting
us.
to get it. I haven't said anything about that part because I want to hear that from our legal team, and they're working on that too.
Sure.
But I believe that is the exact same that because we did have a Zoom call this morning with myself, Judy from Planning and Zoning for the city, and Travis and I. We had a scheduled Zoom call. And we went ahead and took the call. The three of us did. I think there was probably supposed to be 8 or 9 people on there. But after what the city council had taken action last night, it wasn't necessary to have that meeting. But so we had it anyway, and I was glad we did because I wanted to ask. So we were in our meeting when they were having their meeting, so we couldn't watch what was going on in the city. My phone was blowing up. I was getting text messages from everybody that had gone over to the city.
Yeah.
I did send people to the city meeting. I do tell people to go to the meeting, speak, get active. It's your community. You get it. My theory, my little motto. We get to decide what comes here.
Right.
And that's a whole different philosophy that's ever been in Newton County is we get to decide.
Yeah, the people decide.
Yeah, the people decide. Other people don't get to decide for us. I get this all the time. Well, if you don't do the data center, it's going to be 100,000 apartments. No, it's not. It's not either or. It's not either or. You get to decide. It doesn't have to be that. Yeah, it doesn't have to be that.
Yeah, I am curious. I had several more questions. I know we're getting long. But
I don't want to just talk about data centers, even though it's the story of my life.
I know it is.
Right now, anyway. Yeah.
But two things. One, first is how these annexations, these data centers, these rezonings, they've caused you to really put out. I think you led the charge. At least I showed up last night to the county commission meeting after the Board of Education meeting was over. All 3 meetings, all meeting at the same time.
Right, I noticed that.
But
I was going to send them to you. I was going to forward that about you having a meeting.
I know you too. They show up. But I noticed agenda item 21 or something was you had a discussion about transparency. And I know you don't love the word. You let out last night with, I don't love this word. We overuse it. It doesn't mean what it's supposed to mean. But you kind of gave these bullet points on why transparent. You weren't like saying a new policy,
right?
But you were just saying, hey, I want everybody to be aware that we're going to do our dang best to be as transparent as possible, communicate things when we know things as much as the law allows. The citizens need to know, and there were a few other points. So just kind of take us through maybe why did you do, is all of this that's happened over the last year caused you to go?
Caused you to have to do.
Absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely. Okay. I felt like, and even if you remember before I decided to run for office this second go around, was what was going on in the county prior to this. There were some other zonings and things. We were fighting a truck stop out there on Highway 11 and stuff like that. The information was not transparent. It was easier for me to get the information because I know how to get the information.
Right.
Okay. I've been there. I've been in that seat before. I know how to do my research and get the information. But for the average citizen, it's not easy to get the information. You put out a planning and zoning agenda the day before. People don't know whether they need to come or not. That it's hard to get the information out to people what's going on with it. And I just felt like that we could do a better job. And it really came down to what had happened November and December with these annexations in the city and the prior annexations. People were not finding out what was going on around them. There was nowhere for me to link them to get the whole story. That's why I had to tell the whole story.
Right.
But if I could have linked them to the website, some lady came up to me and said to me, I asked for some information and they told me I was going to have to do an open records request to get the zoning information. No citizen should have to pay for an open records request to find out that the property next door to them is going to be zoned to something else. Yeah. That's so wrong. So I said, that is public information. I got no pushback from UC Legal yesterday about that. When we get an annexation, it's going out there immediately. Now, we may have to redact some things that are in there, or, people's personal information or whatever.
Right.
I'm for putting it all out there. Because if you want to take 600 acres and make it a data center, then they need to know who you are.
Exactly.
It was real hard not to post that information, but I didn't. But I'm just saying that
self-control. People
need to know what's going on around them. People ask me sometimes, being in real estate, well, don't you understand property rights? I'm like, I do understand property rights.
That was going to be question 2.
Yeah.
Because I'm curious about.
Okay. So how I view that is yes, everybody has property rights. If somebody bought this land as an investment and they want to do the highest and best use of the land, then they have that right. Doesn't mean they always get what they want.
Right.
But they could, if he wanted to use the property as it's zoned today, he can.
Okay.
When he bought that property, or that person, I won't say he, because it's everybody that ever asked for zonings, they knew what that zoning was when they purchased the property. If they have a great plan, people call me all the time and say, hey, LeAnne, I would like to sit down with you and talk to you about this plan. And I'll say, what is it? And they'll say, and the people did that on Road. On Elks Club Road. They called me. And they said, hey, I want to sit down with you and talk to you about this data center. I said, well, where is it? And they said, well, we want to annex in the city. It's Elks Club Road. I said, not interested. And if it's a waste of my time and their time, I'm just honest and say, look, not being mean or anything. It's just a waste of our time. So the property rights thing come in. But don't you think the person living next door has property rights too?
Yep. Absolutely.
There's a house
This is when it becomes the messy middle to me.
That's
Absolutely.
where it is messy because they have property rights. They have property rights, and those have to somewhere work together. And if they don't work together, then they don't work together.
Yeah.
And this person brought their house thinking that they had a farm beside them. There's always that potential, there is. But never did they think that out in a rural area where you have lots of farms and farmland, would that become an M2 industrial area, M1?
Right.
That's totally off the scale.
Them buying that property, buying that home, whatever, that's not computing in their brain. So now this shifts everything about how they feel about where they live. Absolutely.
It's tough for people. And so there are two sides to it. So when somebody says to me the property rights story, I'm like, you're absolutely right. Every side has property rights. But every side also has a fair way of getting a rezoning or not getting a rezoning. That's why we have the processes in place. So it's not necessarily, the easiest thing to navigate, but that's why we have the planning and zoning and people like that sit down and do that. So
and variances and special use purposes, and so there are
sometimes things work.
Like say you are zoned agricultural, residential, or whatever, and you're like, okay, we can have a farm and we can have houses here, but my next door neighbor now wants to do a convenience store. Well, that's going to go before. In order to get a special use permit, I'm not even sure if that's right. I may be way out of my zoning rules, but still, it would go before some committee. And citizens would be able to, citizens from that area would be able to chime in on that. And so now, if you're a property owner in that area, you're that whole area. It's the majority. That's the rule of the land. So the majority now rules.
There are rules, and sometimes we have to explain to people. You might not like that, but that is set up for that.
You can go, hey. You can build a house all day long. You can have a farm all day long. That's what this land's zoned for. But no, you can't do strip club. Sorry, that's not going to fly.
And as a real estate broker, all my life, every time I've ever sold someone a house, I say to them, okay, you understand that acreage right beside you
could be for this.
Different
could
things.
Be for that.
So you're like, hey, that's commercial. That means
a couple of years ago, my husband and I were out looking to move. We lived in the Oxford area, North Newton, and we were going to move, and he wanted to move out on 50 acres, and we were getting into Walton County for this type land, and I'm like, okay, you see that field right next to us? That's going to be a subdivision. So you need to know that going in. So everywhere we looked, he was like, "Well, dang, you keep ruining this for me." And I'm like, "Well, I'm just telling you, you've got to think long term because everything does not stay the same."
This is true.
I've said a million times, I'm not anti-growth. I'm for the right growth.
Yes.
And I'm for balance.
Right.
We don't need 14 of the same thing. We don't. We have to have a good balance, and we should be trying to up our standards on that balance and to make Newton County sustainable for a long time. And all these things. We've had examples of things that came in real fast, made decisions, and then they're not sustainable and they're gone. So you just have to be careful, and that's a lot of work. But you have to recognize it when it comes in and stop for 5 minutes and say, this don't sound right to me.
Exactly.
Sounds like you're doing a lot of work.
It is. It is a lot of work. I mean, it is, and and it's not my full-time job. It doesn't pay the bills. It does not pay the bills.
It doesn't feel like it sometimes, though.
It doesn't pay the bills, so keep in mind what I really do. But anyway, it's just important to me. It is important as my job, and also important as a citizen of this county to make sure that we're doing the right thing. I was outnumbered when I was on the Board of Commissioners the first time on the western end of the county. We had some developers and builders on the board. it didn't matter what we said no to. They got a yes.
Yeah.
We have a lot of problems from that now. We are in a strain. But I always tell people that's the beauty of Newton County. It's so big. It's so nice that we can do a good job and make sure that every part of the county is not like one part of the county. We can have different things in parts of the county. We can have the city. We can have the western end of the county. We can have the eastern end of the county. We can have different things.
Yeah.
It's just called balance.
Yeah. I think that's a kind of a nice segue to the home stretch here. I mean, because we could talk about all this stuff for the next 2 days. But I want to ask you this, conversations that are had, they are firestorm type conversations. A lot of time people try to run away from them. Why do you feel like these are necessary conversations? Even if they do get a little hairy, even if they do get a little messy sometimes, why do we need to have these conversations?
Well, some people don't like confrontation. Yeah. That's not me. I walk right into it. I think they're healthy. Yeah. I do think they're healthy. I think that, and I tell a lot of people that I'm in different meetings with and different surroundings with. You and I have had this same conversation. Mm-hmm. We may not agree, but they're healthy conversations because I learn from other people, and sometimes it's not the way and I'm open to conversation.
Sure.
Okay. Other people not as open. I'm not right at everything.
Right.
So I'm open to taking a class or taking a study or going and meeting with somebody and hearing their side of it. But when you're not communicating back, that's when the door's shut, and that's when it makes it hard.
Yeah.
So I think people want us to communicate. It's obvious that the communication thing works.
Yes.
I mean, I feel like that maybe this story that we just talked about would have a different outcome if everybody was just quiet and sleeping? Maybe it wouldn't, but maybe it would.
Yeah.
But I don't want to take that chance. So getting in the middle of it, I don't have a problem picking up the phone and say, hey, girl, can we meet? Or, hey, let's meet. Or, I'll call Stan or I'll call Damon or anybody in our board and say, hey, let's talk about this. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, we've had discussions on the board where there are people come before us and wanting flag lots. Well, I've said a million times, I hate flag lots. But if that district commissioner does not have a problem with a flag lot in his area and it is legal in our zoning, then it's not my place to say just because I don't like them, we shouldn't have them. Right. I think they devalue the property, and I've seen that happen. But that's okay. It's there's an open conversation there.
Yeah, I'll give you kudos for that because we have had conversations where, or I'll have watched a meeting and I'll go, what in the world is she talking about? And I'll show up, like I'll go to her office.
Yeah, he will
ring
show
doorbell,
up.
It's a ring doorbell. Like you can't get in. I'm looking at him going, I see your car.
I know you're in there.
I brought my budget book. I got to show you some numbers so you'll understand why I made that decision.
And you helped me understand something. You did that day. Remember, I learned something from you. So it is always good to get a different perspective.
Yeah.
And it is good. And I think that's why communication is good. Unfortunately, Facebook, people go to social media.
Yeah.
I said last night, one of my famous lines I said last night was, a very bright woman told me something one day, Mom, we elected you to come to the meetings. If we had wanted to come to the meetings, we would have ran for office.
Yeah.
Because I hear people say all the time, well, they need to come to the meeting and talk. It's not feasible for everybody to come to the meeting. I love that we have, and that was another thing. I want to make sure that we have all the meetings online where people can see them, especially zoning, getting back to that, putting everything out there for people. People shouldn't have to have a hard time finding information.
Right.
Not in this day and age that we're in.
Yeah.
Right.
Find the information.
Yeah.
And other counties do a great job at it. So we just got to step up. We've had a lot of, we didn't talk about any of our, how this year's gone. It's been hard this year because of, all our changes. We had 3 chairmen in 4 months and 2 county managers, but we're through that. We're steady. And we had to.
It feels like it. Even last night, it felt like it's still steady, even though, there was a robust conversation. There always is, and there should be. And I think some court dates have been named now, so maybe there's an end in sight to at least the previous dramatic scenario.
We told our current chairperson, please hang on a little longer. I think I said, Mama, we don't want a new Mama. We want to keep this one.
Yeah.
This episode of the Town Square Podcast is brought to you by Luther Rice College and Seminary. A community's well-being often reflects the spiritual health of its people. That's why a local Christian college like Luther Rice is a critical voice in our time and culture.
You're absolutely right, Trey. And for me, this is more than just an ad read because I'm actually a Luther Rice alumnus. So my degree there helped prepare me not only for ministry, but also for engaging with the community in meaningful ways.
Yeah, same here. I trusted Luther Rice for my education too, and I can tell you firsthand, they're committed to shaping leaders who impact the church the marketplace, and the world.
Absolutely. So listen, whether you're a high school student looking for a biblically based dual enrollment option, an adult learner wanting to deepen your biblical knowledge, or a working professional looking for development to impact your workplace, Luther Rice is a trusted option for continuing your education from a Christian worldview.
Yes, every program is 100% online and designed for your unique calling, from dual enrollment and undergraduate degrees to certificate programs and doctorate level study. They have options for the entire community that are biblical, affordable, accredited, and completely online.
All right, so here's the call to action. Take your next step toward your calling. Visit lutherrice.edu to learn more. Again, that's lutherrice.edu.
Well, Gabriel likes to wrap this thing up, but I'm going to jump in for here. So I know we're getting along. People will want to reach out to you. Obviously, you're
Absolutely.
on Facebook. That's LeAnne Long, Commissioner, District 5, or something like that.
Commissioner LeAnne Long, District 5. That's the best place to reach me. The county website, you can get our emails. It's long@co.newton.ga.us.
Yeah.
We have our phone numbers on there to call us.
Yeah.
You can definitely find us, get in touch with us if you need us. I love email. It's the easiest way for me to get back to you as soon as I can. Or Facebook is fine. I get a lot of messenger things, and that's a little hard to keep up with for me.
Can be.
Especially
on
hard. I don't think people realize on a page, it's harder when you're on a business page.
It is, yeah.
But, any way they want to get in touch with us, that's fine. And we appreciate that. They can call the county and the county can find us.
Yeah.
But, it is important for people to be engaged. And I'm thrilled about that part. I mean, what happened the last couple of months has just been wonderful, that how much engagement we had. I mean, I had people call me going, I don't see it on the agenda. What meeting should we show up at and all that?
Yeah.
And I thought that was great. I mean, we haven't seen that kind of energy in a long time.
I agree.
So,
And that Facebook has helped. Facebook, Facebook, the Meta plan, all that. It's definitely helped with that. And I know you gave a little nod to the Save East Newton group, David.
David Norton. He does a great job on
He's
that.
very communicative. He's letting people know what the meetings are.
And he doesn't always agree with me either now. So
no, me either. I know.
Yeah. So, but I think he does a great job, and we need more of those situations. We've got several groups. Newton something.
Save West Newton is also now a group.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, we got a lot of them. So I think that's good.
Well, you've done good work getting the word out and creating the conversation, creating a space. It does it gets little things riled up here and there, but I appreciate the fact that you do want to work with other folks and other entities, and
absolutely,
because
I definitely don't want to come off that I don't want to work with people. I think people that truly know me know that I'll work with anybody.
Right.
But it does get passionate sometimes.
Sure.
And that's I think it comes across that way.
We wanted to have you in here to have that conversation so that people could hear that, because a lot of times it is just typed up letters on a screen can be taken in different ways,
Certainly.
So we wanted people, and now to see you too. They can see you as well.
They can hear the voice inflection.
There's a smile.
There's a smile.
I'm
genteel
not
personality.
Scary,
Yeah, absolutely.
But you're right. And sometimes you do have to go back and read through it and say, well, maybe I should take that word out. I try to let my daughter read them now before I do them and say, what about this? Just to have another voice read them or something. And but I don't want to. I'm not going to sugarcoat from the point.
Right.
That's not me. If you want sugarcoating and fluff, then you're not going to get that here.
Well, I don't think anyone's going to come to you looking for that.
No. I think right. Whatever side we may fall on in particular discussions, I do think we need more straight to the point.
Let's talk
more
about
than we need fluff and filler. You
need to understand.
You have to. Absolutely.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so much. This is
thank you all
always
so much. I enjoyed being with you guys through your podcast and seeing you in the community and all that. And congratulations to you, all those great things.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah. I appreciate it. I do.
All right. We'll see you hopefully before another year.
All right. Sounds good.
Indeed.
All right.
Thank you.
Take care.